This is Cigar Lake Mine. Half a kilometer beneath the surface, miners pull from the ground a rock so potent it contains enough energy to power more than 400 homes for an entire year. It is one of the richest uranium deposits on Earth. But here is the twist. This incredibly valuable uranium straight from the ground is completely useless for nuclear power. You are looking at nature's cruel joke. The uranium that comes out of this mine could theoretically run entire cities, but in reality, it cannot even keep a light bulb on. There is a hidden problem that stumped the world's top nuclear engineers for decades, and solving it led to the creation of some of the most secretive and heavily guarded facilities on the planet. What you are about to discover is the incredible journey that transforms raw uranium into the fuel that powers nuclear reactors. From underground ice fortresses to machines spinning faster than jet engines, this is how enriched uranium is made. December in northern Saskatchewan. The temperature outside is minus 30 degrees Celsius, but 500 meters underground, chunk U-465 sits embedded in sandstone waiting. It has been here for 2 billion years, but today that changes. The mining operator has been controlling remote equipment at Cigar Lake for 12 years, but still gets excited when the radiation meters spike. That means a rich vein of uranium has been found. What is about to be extracted contains nearly 16% uranium, the highest grade ore on the planet. Most mines celebrate at 2%, but there is a problem that nearly ruined the entire operation. The ore sits beneath water-saturated sandstone. Imagine trying to dig a tunnel while Niagara Falls pours through your ceiling. The solution is insane. Build an underground ice fortress. Picture 200 steel pipes each, taking 8 days to install arranged in a perfect circle around U-465's deposit. A freeze plant above ground chills calcium chloride brine to minus 30 degrees and pumps it through these pipes. The water around U-465 turns to solid ice, creating frozen walls that hold back millions of gallons of groundwater. The mining operator guides a remote-controlled drill toward U-465's location. The drill bits are studded with tungsten carbide buttons, one of the hardest materials on Earth, second only to diamond. Through a camera feed, the operator watches as the mechanical reamer, looking like a steel octopus with wheeled tentacles, chews through the rock toward U-465. At 10:47 a.m., U-465 breaks free and tumbles into the extraction chamber. The operator scoops it up with a remote tram working from a sealed booth 50 meters away. The radiation from U-465 is strong enough to cause cell damage, so fresh air cycles through the mine every 20 minutes. U-465 travels up through steel chutes, gets pulverized by hydraulic hammers powerful enough to crush a car engine, then ground into sand and mixed with water. By noon, what was once a solid rock has become radioactive slurry, pumped to the surface and loaded onto truck number 47 for an 80-kilometer journey that will change everything. The operator watches as the truck disappears into the frozen wilderness. Thousands of tons of ore have been extracted, but there is always curiosity about where each piece ends up. And U-465's journey has only just begun. Day 3, Truck 47 arrives at the uranium mill, where the safety inspector waits in a control room behind radiation-proof glass. With 15 years in this role, the inspector has processed enough uranium to power half of Canada, but still treats every batch with respect. One mistake here does not just mean a bad day. It means evacuation zones and hazmat teams. Vacuum systems draw U-465 slurry from the truck, while the inspector monitors radiation levels from a station 7 meters away. The numbers are well within safety limits. Now comes the chemistry. Special acid floods over U-465, dissolving only the uranium while leaving the worthless rock minerals behind. Think of it as using a chemical key that unlocks only what is wanted. Imagine having a mixture of salt and sand and needing only the salt. The salt would dissolve in water. The sand would be filtered out, and when the water evaporated, pure salt crystals would remain. That is essentially what happens to U-465, except instead of salt and water, acids powerful enough to eat through steel are used. Through the observation window, the inspector watches U-465 transform. The dissolved uranium moves through a series of extraction tanks, each one purifying it further. The liquid changes color from murky brown to clear yellow, like watching mud become honey. Then comes the roasting. At 1085 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt copper U-465 enters a massive industrial oven. This is the point of no return. If the temperature drifts by even a few degrees, millions of dollars of uranium could be ruined in minutes. The inspector checks the temperature gauges constantly. Too hot, and the uranium oxidizes incorrectly. Too cool, and it will not convert properly. After 4 hours, U-465 emerges as jet black powder, looking nothing like the rock extracted just days ago. The inspector carefully funnels this powder into drum 2-847, a 210-liter steel container built to survive train crashes and highway accidents. It is sealed with an inspection stamp, and radiation warning labels are added. Each sealed drum contains enough potential energy to power a small town for months. But right now, it is still locked away. U-465 is only 0.7% uranium-235, the useful isotope. To become reactor fuel, it needs to reach 3 to 5%. As drum 2847 is loaded for transport, the inspector adds it to a logbook. In 15 years, 12,000 drums have been sealed. There is often a quiet wonder about whether any of this uranium powers the inspector's own house. What happens next will determine if it ever gets that chance. Day 10, the hazardous materials driver has been transporting uranium shipments for 20 years, but they still require extra care. Drum 2847, containing U-465, sits in a specially designed trailer, along with 47 other drums, each tracked by GPS and monitored by the International Atomic Energy Agency. The truck is no ordinary vehicle. It is built like a rolling vault with reinforced steel walls, radiation shielding, and a locking system that would make bank robbers weep. The route is classified. Even the driver cannot tell his family which highways will be taken. The fear is not theft. Natural uranium is nearly useless. The fear is accidents that could spread radioactive material across a highway. The driver remembers his first uranium run. His hands shook, imagining every car was about to hit him. Now, after 2,000 trips, the real danger is complacency. That is why radiation badges are still checked every hour, and seals are tested at every stop. The 2,000-kilometer journey to the conversion facility takes 3 days. Stops are allowed only at designated secure areas where armed guards watch the truck while the driver sleeps in a special dormitory. Stopping at regular truck stops is forbidden. There is too much risk. While driving through the Rocky Mountains, the driver thinks about the physics. Each drum behind him contains uranium atoms that formed in a supernova explosion billions of years ago, before Earth even existed. These atoms traveled through space, became part of the planet, got buried underground, and now are heading to a facility to be transformed into something useful. He is basically hauling stardust. On day 13, the truck pulls into the Port Hope conversion facility in Ontario. Robotic systems unload drum 2847, while the driver watches from a safe distance. The delivery is successful, like thousands before it. But U-465's transformation is about to get interesting. The black powder in drum 2847 is about to become one of the most corrosive substances known to science. The driver signs the delivery papers and heads home. Next week, he will make the same run again with 48 new drums, now in a place where the wrong reaction could shatter steel and unleash invisible death. U-465's most critical transformation is about to begin. Day 30, the lead chemist approaches the blast-proof window, knowing that what happens next will either unlock U-465's power or destroy it completely. Inside the sealed chamber drum, 2847 sits, waiting for its most dangerous transformation into uranium hexafluoride, a gas so corrosive it can burn skin and destroy tissue on contact. The chemist's hands move across control panels that look like they belong in a space mission. One wrong setting, and U-465 becomes radioactive waste worth nothing. The pressure builds as fluorine gas, one of the most reactive elements on Earth, gets ready to meet U-465 at precisely 550 degrees Celsius. The moment arrives. Bright flames erupt through the observation port as U-465 reacts violently with the fluorine. The chemist watches the temperature spike pressure gauges dancing into the red zone. This is not just making uranium gas. This is taming a chemical beast that wants to destroy everything it touches. The entire facility is built from special nickel alloys and aluminum, the only materials that can survive UF6's hunger to corrode. But here is why this terrifying process is necessary. Natural uranium is 99.3% U-238 and only 0.7% U-235. U-235 is what splits and releases the energy. The U-238 is dead weight. They are virtually identical, like trying to separate twins who differ in weight by just 3 pounds in 1,000. You cannot use magnets or chemistry because they behave exactly the same except for that tiny weight difference. The breakthrough came from a clever observation. Uranium hexafluoride is the only uranium compound that becomes a gas at practical temperatures. When U-465 becomes this corrosive gas, physics can finally separate the useful from the useless. As gaseous U-465 flows into a specialized shipping cylinder, the chemist knows the most difficult step is still ahead. These cylinders look like giant steel thermoses designed to contain something that would melt or corrode most metals. The shipment is ready for uranium enrichment, where spinning faster than fighter jets will finally unlock the power that has been trapped for 2 billion years. Day 40. The centrifuge operator arrives before dawn at a classified uranium enrichment plant. The facility is a maze of thousands of centrifuges spinning inside stainless steel pipes and reinforced containment vessels. The operator monitors control panels that look more like aircraft cockpits than industrial machinery. Each centrifuge spins at 60,000 revolutions per minute, almost twice the speed of a fighter jet engine. At these speeds, tiny differences in weight become enough to separate U-235 from U-238. The gaseous UF6 is fed into each centrifuge. The spinning machines use centrifugal force to push the heavier U-238 to the outer edge, while the lighter U-235 collects nearer the center. Multiple cascades of centrifuges in series gradually raise the U-235 concentration from 0.7% to between 3 and 5%, suitable for reactor fuel. The operator checks isotope ratios using mass spectrometry equipment. When U-465 reaches the target enrichment level, it is converted back into uranium oxide powder. This powder will be formed into pellets and assembled into fuel rods. The operator reflects on the scale. Each fuel pellet contains as much energy as 1 ton of coal. A single reactor core holds hundreds of thousands of these pellets, powering entire cities for months without carbon emissions. Day 50. The fuel technician receives the enriched uranium oxide powder that was once chunk U-465, now transformed beyond recognition. Under sterile conditions that rival surgical operating rooms, the powder is pressed into ceramic pellets, each no bigger than a fingertip. These tiny cylinders will soon hold the power to light entire neighborhoods. Quality inspectors examine every pellet through microscopes, checking for hairline cracks or density variations that could cause catastrophic failures. A single defective pellet in a reactor core could trigger emergency shutdowns costing millions of dollars. The acceptance rate is ruthless. Only perfect pellets make it to the next stage. The approved pellets slide into zirconium alloy tubes. Each tube is precisely engineered to withstand pressures that would crush a submarine and temperatures that would melt steel. Robotic systems stack these tubes into fuel assemblies, each bundle containing more than 200 tubes arranged in perfect geometric patterns. The assemblies look like metallic flowers, beautiful and deadly. Technicians perform final inspections using X-ray machines and ultrasonic scanners that can detect flaws invisible to the human eye. Each fuel assembly is then hermetically sealed and loaded into transport containers, built like armored coffins designed to survive plane crashes and direct missile impacts. The fuel assemblies travel by specially designed trucks with armed escorts to nuclear power plants around the world. Every shipment is tracked by satellite. Every route classified. Every delivery a matter of national security. Day 60. At the nuclear power plant, reactor operators receive the fuel assemblies with ceremonies that feel almost religious. This is the moment 2 billion years in the making. The uranium that formed in dying stars, buried in Canadian ice, transformed through chemistry that borders on alchemy, now approaches its ultimate destiny. The reactor vessel, a steel cathedral 40 feet tall and 8 inches thick, opens to receive its new fuel. Robotic arms guided by operators in radiation suits carefully insert each fuel assembly into the reactor core. The geometric precision is critical. Each assembly must be positioned to create the perfect balance between power and safety. The reactor operator initiates startup procedures. Control rods withdraw, neutron levels climb, and then it happens. The first U-235 atom splits, then another, then billions. The chain reaction that scientists dreamed of for decades finally begins. Heat builds, water turns to steam, and turbines spin to life. In the control room, lights flicker across monitoring panels. Megawatts of electricity flow through power lines toward cities. Hospitals receive life-saving power. Homes warm against winter cold. Factories restart production. The uranium that was once worthless rock half a kilometer underground now pulses with the heartbeat of modern civilization. Remember that single pellet from the beginning, the one that contained as much energy as a ton of coal, yet seemed completely worthless. That paradox is finally resolved. The 3 neutrons that made all the difference have been concentrated. The 99.3% of locked-away power has been overcome. Nature's cruel joke has become humanity's greatest energy triumph. The chunk of rock that miners once called U-465 no longer exists as rock powder or gas. It exists as pure energy lighting the world, while proving that sometimes the most valuable things in life appear worthless until we discover how to unlock their hidden potential. The destination was never just a power plant. It was always the moment when impossible becomes inevitable, when worthless becomes priceless, when atoms fulfill their ancient promise to power the future. This is 5.0 industry.